So the Royal Rumble 2025 is in the books. We've got Jey Uso as our men's Royal Rumble winner and Charlotte Flair as our women's. And I asked you guys for your hot, cold, and lukewarm, tepid takes, and you guys delivered. There was 370 of these things in the community thread, so we're going to go ahead and get to some of them. Man, I mean, out of 370, how do you pick and choose? Let's go ahead and start with this one. Damon Harden says Jey winning was a great choice. It was a surprise. He's popular and even more popular with young kids. Forget the in-ring last Mania and realize tonight was for the kids. As an older fan, I love to see children get into wrestling like I did when I was young. That might be a hot take, might be a cold take. I don't know. I like Jey as the winner simply because it was so unpredictable. And yes, it has the added benefit, I suppose. I hadn't even thought about this, to be honest with you, in terms of appealing to kids. I'll be honest with you. I think it appeals to adults who have been paying attention to the Bloodline story since its inception back when the Tribal Chief showed up in 2020. So I think Jey Uso is actually a terrific winner, especially given that he just lost to Gunther at Saturday night's main event. He's lost to him, I think, a couple times before that as well. So he's got his own Sami Zayn-esque story when Sami was challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, between now and Mania, is going to be the time for us to see exactly how this story is going to play out. Is it going to take some additional twists and turns given that he's already lost to Gunther? So what does Jey have to do to get to that next level so that he can actually beat the guy? That's going to be the intriguing part of the story. Are they going to introduce some of the mind games that Roman used to play with Jey? Is he going to be susceptible to the same kind of mind games perhaps that Gunther might try to play with him? Kind of curious to see how the story is going to play out. And is it just going to be a bunch of promos, or is it going to be something a little bit more interesting given that we still have 2 months? What is it? Early April? No, it's like deep into April, isn't it? So yeah, there's still a lot of time for this to play out. 2.5 months left. So we'll see where it goes, but I like the Jey pick. I also think it'd be kind of interesting to see what Roman's reaction and what Jimmy's reaction, what Jacob Fatu's reaction will be. I know they're kind of on a different brand, but it'd be interesting to see, especially given during WrestleMania season, they don't seem to give a damn about the brand split. It'd be interesting to see what the rest of the Bloodline, beyond like Sami, who obviously is going to talk to Jey about it, be interesting to see if they fit into this at all. If they're going to be behind Jey, if they're going to help Jey, if they're going to try to coach Jey. I don't know. It'd be great if we got some sort of acknowledgement from Roman Reigns himself to Jey Uso. Hey, man, you won the Rumble. That's great. Now, what are you going to do to step up your game? That'd be really interesting stuff. I want to see Jey now take on Roman Reigns as like a mentor or something. I think it'd be kind of cool. Isaiah TV says WWE should stop saying the Rumble winners will main event WrestleMania and just say they'll get a world title shot at Mania. In a perfect world, the Rumble winners would always main event, but I doubt either of this year's winners will. So what's the point of the main event promise if they just go with the biggest star stories anyways? Yeah, I've never been a fan of like when they say, oh, it's going to be a co-main event. The main event is the last match that goes on a given night. So I kind of feel like this year they'll probably drop that aspect of it. CM Punk's story hasn't even really been, I want to get back to the title. It's been, I want a main event WrestleMania. That's what everybody throws at CM Punk. I want a main event WrestleMania. So you got to figure CM Punk is going to main event WrestleMania, either night 1 or night 2. My suspicion is going to be night 1 against Roman Reigns, which leaves Jey versus Gunther in the mid-card. One of those things has to give. Either Roman Reigns is going to be a mid-carder or Jey Uso and the Rumble winner and the World Heavyweight Championship, which is usually a mid-card title anyways, is going to end up in the mid-card. So I don't know. It kind of feels like WrestleMania, 35 back in 2019 when you had Kofi Mania in the mid-card, but it was like a huge moment. Could be a show closer. You had Seth Rollins in the mid-card, and you had the women main eventing, which at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really sat back and thought, oh man, Kofi Mania really should have main evented. Could it have? Absolutely. But like the women had a rightful claim to the main event as well. And Seth Rollins versus, Brock Lesnar that year had a rightful place to the main event as well. That was back before they did 2 nights. So, I mean, with how WWE is loaded these days, something's got to give. And unfortunately, it seems like the women's Rumble winner is the thing that kind of initially gives, but also there's a whole other world championship. And so it's entirely possible that Jey Uso's not going to main event WrestleMania. That's a long way of saying, I agree. Stop saying the Rumble winner main events Rumble winner gets a title shot for the title they're choosing. That's how it should go. The real TJP says Roxanne Perez should have won over Charlotte Flair. So I definitely think Roxanne Perez was like my MVP of the Royal Rumble. I don't know from a story perspective it would make a lot of sense for her to win this year, given that she's right now in a really hot feud with Bayley. And I feel like that will conclude probably at Stand and Deliver. I would love to see that feud blow off at WrestleMania, though. Hell, they might even do like double duty. They might get Roxanne and Bayley in some sort of other type match at Stand and Deliver, and then also at WrestleMania. I think that's a possibility. In any event, I just don't think like the story is necessarily there for Roxanne Perez just yet to win the Rumble. I think Jordynne Grace would have been another interesting option to win the Rumble. Look, guys, I'm a Charlotte fan. I love Charlotte. I think she's great. And for her to win the Rumble and then feud with Tiffany Stratton, because that's going to be the match. It's going to be her versus Tiffany. It's going to be a really, really good match. And I think Charlotte's going to come in and lose to Tiffany Stratton. They're trying to make Tiffany Stratton into that sort of prospective Charlotte level star. And what better way to do that than to have a bit of a torch passing from Charlotte to Tiffany Stratton? I think that's probably what they're aiming to do here. And right now they're trying to make a big star out of Tiffany Stratton. And I feel like having it be Charlotte taking her on at WrestleMania makes more sense than a Roxanne Perez. Shayer Moen says the fact that Twitter is losing their mind over Jey winning solidified he's the right winner. I don't know that there has been a larger disconnect between what the internet wrestling community, the vocal fans online, and then like what the general WWE audience wants to see. Jey's entrances are so electric. They're so massive. The fans are so completely invested in Jey Uso. And you understand why. I still think it goes back to all the trauma he suffered in the bloodline and how he's managed to succeed after all that. He's got a lot of baggage, that Jey Uso. I don't think he's just a catchphrase. I don't think he's just an entrance song. I don't think he's just style over substance in terms of his presentation. Yes, you could say that he's not exactly a Gunther level in-ring person, and that's fine. Although the match with Gunther at Saturday Night's Main Event was a very, very good match. So I think it's, to be honest with you, it makes all the sense in the world for Jey to win this, given where he's been and how popular he is. It's just kind of surprising, given that WWE seems to kind of giveth Jey Uso and taketh away Jey Uso. He had like a 1-month Intercontinental Championship reign. But, I mean, this seems to be his story now, is to dethrone Gunther. I'm just shocked that they're telling this story, but I kind of love it for Jey Uso and for his fans. The internet wrestling community seems to not agree, but man, the wrestling audience, they don't give a shit in this case, what the internet wrestling community, it is not real life. The internet wrestling community versus what you're getting in the arenas and the jam-packed, sold out 60,000 plus people in that stadium. They didn't give a shit about the internet wrestling community. They love Jey Uso. They were all about this finish. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I like the pick because it was so surprising and it does track his story. I think it's great. From the Top Rope says the entrance music is so generic that I had no idea who was coming out at times, particularly in the Women's Rumble. Yeah, man, they have got so much work to do when it comes to digging themselves out of the fucking cesspool of a hole that Def Rebel has left them in. I'm sitting here watching on my monitor. I got Peacock on, and like, the quality is not exactly Netflix level. And granted, maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm streaming at the same time. Got my internet going, I don't know what, but when I watch it on Netflix, it is crystal clear. When I watch it on Peacock, not so much. And so like, they take forever to cut from the big long shot of the ring. This happens so many times. The big long shot of the ring, the music kicks in, and I'm sitting there like, who the hell is this? Because they haven't gone to like a close-up of the entrance where you can actually see the Tron and the name of the person. So I'm sitting there like, I don't even fucking know who this is. That happens so many times because this music is so generic. Most of the themes sound the same. They need to fire Def Rebel. And I hate saying that, but you know what? They've had their time in the sun. They've had 10 years to basically screw up all the theme songs. they need to go away, and they need to either take all that money and start licensing some songs for these talent, or bring in somebody new, bring back Jim Johnston, bring back CFO dollar sign. I don't know what they got to do, but these theme songs suck. Braun6877 says, I don't know if this is a take of any temperature, but 0 NXT reps in the men's rumble feels nuts. I'd have thought they'd at least put Trick Williams in there. I was shocked, man. I'm going to do a video where I'm going to take a look at all those picks I had here at WrestleJuice for those 4 videos that I did predicting all the entrants. I got most of the women's rumble down. I was actually really shocked at just how deep Triple H went into his main roster in order to get people like Ludwig Kaiser was in it, Otis was in it. I was surprised at all that kind of stuff. I was kind of surprised that I Show Speed was in it as well. I liked that spot. I thought it was really cool. Braun Breaker absolutely completely annihilated that guy. I felt kind of bad for him. But yeah, I was surprised there was no Trick Williams. That was kind of crazy to me. It also does illustrate, though, that given that him and Obafemi are kind of the only two that would have made sense in that spot, that the men's division just is hurting right now in NXT. Man, no offense to fans of Tony D'Angelo, but I was sitting there thinking, wait a second, who's a North American champion? Couldn't they put him in there? Tony D should not be in the Rumble. And he wasn't. But neither was Trick. That is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me that Trick Williams wasn't in it. But I guess Triple H wanted to focus on the main roster he has now. And there were 5 NXT. If this is any illustration that they are having NXT focus on being the women's wrestling brand, 5 NXT women were in the women's Rumble. And the ratings for NXT just keeps on going up and up and up. So seemingly that's a formula that really works. We'll see how that all plays out. But yeah, like they really need to kind of start focusing on developing the men's division there, because it is shallow. It's not deep at all. Suit Dumpling says Joe Hendry was beyond wasted. It was so sad to see him be over only to be eliminated so quickly. I don't know what you really can expect from that, though. I mean, he's a TNA champion. Yes, he had a really great month and a half long stretch in NXT. I like Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. So it was cool just to see him get his entrance. He did the thing where he didn't really do the side to side thing, but I don't know. He had a little moment and then he was eliminated. I don't know really what you want from that. He got in over anybody in NXT, so he's got that to his name. Death Mask says, I'd be down for a Jade Bianca versus Naomi Jordan tag title match after that interaction in the Rumble. Seems incredibly likely that's the direction they're going to go. I thought that was actually one good story beat in the Women's Rumble that they really focused on. And there is an interesting little turn there with Naomi and Jordan hugging because of their TNA history, and then Bianca getting kind of pissed off about that. I kind of like that bit right there. It'll be interesting to see if Naomi is the one that took out Jade Cargill. When Jade comes back, evidently she's been at the Performance Center getting some training in, so she should be back, you would think, pretty soon. I'm excited to have Jordynne Grace in the WWE, though, man. I think there's a lot of really great talent there, a lot of good matches for her. Look, she looked like $1 million at the Rumble, so good to see her there. Dustin Martin says, Drew feels like the odd man out at the moment. I'm starting to get worried about his creative. Seth, Punk, and Roman all eliminated each other. He should be getting involved in that, given his beef with all 3 of them. Instead, he got eliminated by Damian Priest. Feels like he's back to an upper mid-card guy and well and truly outside the Roman bubble. Yeah, man. So apparently, I don't know if this is work or a shoot, real or fake. I don't know. But according to the dirt sheets, Drew McIntyre stormed out last night after the Rumble, upset that somebody was trying to get too much of their shit in, and it detracted from his elimination from Damian Priest, given that apparently that's supposed to be the WrestleMania match, and he might be upset about that being the WrestleMania match, which I feel like he's justified. This is like a CM Punk 2013 situation, man, where Drew McIntyre has had a killer year before, and they're going to stick him in a match with Damian Priest. No shade to Damian Priest, the former El Campeon. I think he's great and everything, man, but he's just sort of like, Drew should not be at that level. Drew should be at the Punk Roman Rollins level. He really should be. I'll be honest with you. I know it seems like they're going to do Punk Roman, and given that there's the Paul Heyman interaction there, I think that's fine, but Drew needs to be a step up from Damian Priest. He really does. He should really just absolutely annihilate. I mean, look, maybe there is some circular storytelling here, given that Priest is the guy that cashed in on Drew McIntyre, and now Drew McIntyre is going to get his back at WrestleMania. Maybe he just needs to be patient, and maybe this whole thing is fake as fuck. That could be. When it was reported that he walked out at War Games when CM Punk came back, I still think that was just him staying in character. So maybe this is just more of Drew staying in character, playing it up. He's going to get the win at WrestleMania, and then he'll go on to bigger and better things. Maybe he'll beat Jey Uso at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship, and maybe that title will heat up a little bit at that point. Now that I think about it, that's a distinct possibility. Look, I just wouldn't care about what Drew McIntyre is doing backstage. Just focus on what's going on the TV. I'm sure it's all just a bunch of fake bullshit anyways. I think they're just working the sheets, man. I think they're just working that shit. I don't know. That's my own personal opinion. Zondo says, I like the tickers. They made it feel more real and more sports-like. Yeah, man, I agree with this. I love that stuff, man. If I'm ever thinking to myself, I wonder how many people are in the ring right now. I didn't have to sit there and count everybody. It tells me. How many people have been eliminated? It tells you. How long has been the longest person in the Rumble? It tells you. I loved it. And if I didn't want to think about it, I would just focus on the action in the ring. I think they're great. I love them. I think there should be more tickers in WWE, man. I think they're awesome. Christopher Boris says Cody is morphing into heel Cody from the Indies, and the jacket was a huge clue. Throwback to the bomber jacket he used to wear. Man, oh man, let's talk about Ladder War. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, what a match. That was my match of the night. It was absolutely phenomenal. And maybe you're onto something, because Cody Rhodes coming back after he basically murders Kevin Owens. That Alabama slam was nasty. And he's sitting there basically dead. Sami Zayn is mourning him. And then Cody Rhodes comes back, gets on the announce table, basically in crop dust position, and says, Sammy, it is what it is, or whatever he said. Man, that was pretty gnarly from Cody Rhodes. But I don't think it's going to be a heel turn, man. I just think Cody Rhodes is not going to be the typical pushover babyface that Vince McMahon used to book. It used to be that babyfaces wouldn't do that. They wouldn't go to that level. They wouldn't get petty. Well, we all got a little pettiness in us, man. Good guys and bad guys alike. And so Cody Rhodes being petty in that moment, I'm all about it. Hell of a match. Hats off to Kevin Owens. This guy has single-handedly elevated that Cody title to the next level after, almost a year now of it being kind of like, another Cody feud. Well, this is the feud of that title reign. Kevin Owens is one of the best. Absolutely one of the best. Hopefully he's okay, because my God, that Alabama slam was gnarly. The Robserver says you're sleeping on John Cougar Mellencamp, man. Nah, man. Nah. I went to go. Larson was like last night. He was like, go listen to Scarecrow. And so I looked for a John Cougar Mellencamp song called Scarecrow, and I couldn't find one. All I saw was a song called Rain on the Scarecrow by John Cougar Mellencamp. Nah, man, small town Jack and Diane. I've never been a Mellencamp guy. Dr. Howie says I didn't know if the show is truly over without the Georgia Peach logo. Remember, the show's not actually over until you've seen the Georgia Peach logo, and then even then, maybe it's not actually over. With that being said, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you guys around.